Hi, this is Olivia from the Northern Nevada International Center, and I'm going to be doing a tutorial for you on completing the written application for the Youth Leadership Program with Algeria. This program is also called YLPA. So this is a flyer that you might see if you're following us on social media, and this includes a lot of important information about the program. So let's take a look. First, you'll find here the details and can be accessed through our link tree, and the dates to apply are October 7th through November 5th, 2022. And this is Algeria time, so you have until 11:59 p.m. on November 5th, 2022 to complete the application. And this program is always a fully funded by the U.S. Department of State program that is about 4 weeks long, and the dates for the 2023 program are July 7th through August 2nd, 2023. And if we look up here, you'll see some eligibility requirements that we will talk about later. So these, regardless of the dates of the program for the year, it is always a 4-year program that is all expenses paid and works in collaboration with the U.S. Department of State. And during your time in the program, if you're accepted, you'll visit Reno, Nevada, and Washington, D.C., and you'll be encouraged to develop your leadership skills through workshops, team building activities at a local ropes course. You'll stay with a host family and enjoy international meals and activities, as well as developing a project that contributes to your home community. Please keep in mind the deadline to apply is coming up fast, so this video will briefly walk you through the steps of everything you need to do. Okay, so this is the application link that was noted on the previous slide, and you can just go to our link tree to apply, or you can type in this web page. However, if you type this in to your browser, it will take you to this page, and you can click on Youth Leadership Program with Algeria, and this will take you to the page on our website with all the information that you need to apply. Okay. Please review this background information. This tells you a bit more about the program, and it's also important to note that the program is intensively academic. Includes workshops, project planning, team building, and cultural components. After you complete the US-based program, participants are required to do a post-program service project. And during the program in the United States, you can expect to be in programming from 8:30 in the morning to a minimum of 5 p.m. Some days do include programming that goes from about 8:30 a.m. to 9 p.m. If you have more questions about this or want to see what a sample calendar would look like, you can click this link. So let's take a look at eligibility requirements. You must be a legal citizen of Algeria and be 15, 16, or 17 years old on the program's start date of July 7th, 2023. This is when orientation starts, so this is the date when you need to be 15, 16, or 17. If you are going to be 14, we recommend that you wait until you are eligible for the program to apply for the next year. And if you are 18, you will not be eligible for the program, and we recommend that you look at applying to other U.S. Department of State programs. You also need to have 1 year of high school remaining for the program. If you're selected, we will verify this with your school. If you are going to have graduated by the time the program begins, unfortunately, you are not eligible, but there are other U.S. Department of State programs you can apply for. It's also necessary that you have demonstrated sufficient English skills for academic discussions and social interactions, as these are things you'll be regularly doing in the program. It is also important that you've demonstrated a commitment to leadership in your school or community and have an interest in the program themes of social entrepreneurship, leadership, and project development. Lastly, you need to have the permission of your parent or guardian to participate in the entire program, and you cannot have a family member that is in the Northern Nevada International Center, our Algerian partner, or in the US Department of State. All right, let's take a look at the application page. This page has all the information that you need to know to complete your application. Now, as a reminder, this is the period when you have to complete the written application. If your application is found to be complete, then you'll be sent a link to the video interview on November 17th. This is a secondary part of the application that you will only receive if your written application is complete. Let's take a look at the written application information. Okay, so this application has a few different parts, but my recommendation is that you start by gathering the letters of recommendation that you will need to complete this application, because those can take a while for your recommenders to get back to you. So for this, you will need to print this document. Actually, I'm sorry, you will need to download this document and then either email it or send it to your recommender. This will be completed by the person who recommends you for this program. And you can click the download button here to download it. With this, your recommender will need to type and fill out this form completely with all of this information, with the exception of this line down here where it says signature. This has to be handwritten, hand signed by your recommender. It cannot be typed. That will result in your application being considered invalid. Okay? And in the event that you cannot get this scanned, you can also take a photo of it. But this needs to be fully completed and then hand signed by your recommender. The rest of the form can be typed and should be typed on a computer. If you have a question of what this looks like, you have sample letters of recommendation that you can look at that have specific instructions in blue. Okay, so these are instructions in blue as well as an example. Okay, one thing to note is that this is the part that needs to be handwritten down here on the bottom. Okay. So you need to have 2 typed and then hand signed letters of recommendation. They must be written in English. Okay. And then you also have a signature page. This must be hand signed by both you and your parent or guardian. Let's take a look at this form. Okay, so this form must have your name on it, and then you need to handwrite your application, your signature. And then it must also have your parent or guardian, your father or guardian's name, and then it must be handwritten, their signature as well. This form can be downloaded in the same way and then signed and scanned. There is also an example here if you want to look at that. And please note that by signing this, you're certifying that all of the information in your application is true and correct, and that you have the permission of your father or your guardian to participate in this program. If there is any false application information, you will be disqualified from the program and not eligible for any Department of State or U.S. Embassy exchanges or programs in the future. So please take care to only include accurate and true information in your application. Again, we recommend that you do this part of your application first so that you have given your recommenders an ample amount of time to be able to complete this. One important thing to note is that your letters of recommendation cannot be written by family members. If they are, it will result in your application being invalid. Okay. And the second part of this is that you need to submit all of the personal information and essay questions asked on the online application and upload the 2 letters of recommendation and then the signature page. And you can access this application to view the information multiple times, but once you start to complete the application, you cannot save it. So we recommend that you type your essay question answers in a separate Word document and then upload them to the application and copy and paste them in when you are ready. Let's take a look at the application. Actually, before we do that, let's just take a couple moments to look at some of these important points. As I mentioned previously, letters of recommendation cannot be written by family members. Okay? We recommend that they're written by a professional reference, such as a teacher, a mentor, a coach, and they have to be written by 2 different people. If you upload 2 copies of the same letter, your application will be incomplete, and this will also be incomplete if the signatures are missing or if any of the pages are missing. Please double check all of your documents to make sure that you've uploaded everything completely and that we can review your application. When you're completing the written application, please provide an answer in all of the fields with an asterisk, which is this symbol here, on the electronic form. It's important that you use academic language and edit your answers as if you were doing a final draft of a school assignment. And please note the word count minimums. We will talk more about that later, but if your application doesn't meet these requirements, it will be considered incomplete. Okay? And we'll talk about the second part of this in a moment. Let's review the participant application. Okay, so please review all of this information, and we will review your application very thoroughly to make sure it is complete and eligible. While the application deadline is November 5th, you will not be notified until November 17th if you will continue with the process. If your application that's written is found to be complete and you're eligible, you will receive a link to complete the video interview on November 17th. Please do not contact us about the status of your application before that date. On November 17th, you will receive a link if your application is complete and eligible. If it is not complete or eligible, you will receive an email from us about the status of your application. So you will hear from us either way. And if you have not after November 17th, please send us one email. Okay, so with this document, we will ask you to complete some personal information. And if you'll note here, we ask you for an email address. Please use your email address, not the email address of a friend, a parent, or a teacher. This is how we contact you, and it is important that you use an email address that you will check regularly and that belongs to you so that you can get this information. If you do not have an email address, you can create one using Gmail, Yahoo, or Hotmail. With this part of the application, you also need to include your birth date. Please note that we ask you to put the month. So for example, January would be 1, and then the date of the 11th day, and then you could put the year as 2005. So month, day, and then year. Please make sure that you put your birthday and that it is accurate. Okay. Let's see. And then we'll ask you for some information about your family. You can include this information, and when we ask about your education, please make sure that you include the school contact information, either a phone number or an email address. You can give us as many contact details here as possible because we'll need to verify information in your application with your school. This might be the phone number of your principal or the headmaster or a school secretary. If your school has an email address, you can put that here as well. Okay, with this question, do you have a valid passport? It is not required to have a passport in order to apply for this program. You can apply for this program without a passport. In the event that you're selected to participate, you will have to get a passport immediately, and it will need to be valid for at least through the duration of the program. If you do not have one, that's okay. Just select no, and then you can move on. And if you do not have one, you'll leave this section blank. Okay, now here are the essay questions. We encourage you to fully read these essay questions and make sure that you are answering them and submitting an answer that is similar to the final draft of an assignment for school. Please note the word minimums. This is one of the requirements of this application, and you must write a minimum of 200 words for this section, as well as this section on these topics. Please also note that there is a word minimum for this question and this question of 100 words. And for this last one, there is not a word count. However, please note that this is a multi-part question as indicated by 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and you need to fully answer this and make it as clear as possible. As previously discussed, this is where you will upload the letters of recommendation and signature page. Please make sure that you include all pages of the letter of recommendation as well as the signature page. You'll need to indicate here the name of the person who wrote your letter of recommendation. If they are a relative or family member, please remember that they should not be a family member. And then please write the relationship of the person who wrote your letter of recommendation. So for example, is this person your teacher? Is this person your coach? Okay. And then you will choose the file that you want to upload and upload it to the document, to this application. It is very important that you double check and make sure that you have all the pages, it is hand signed, and it is complete. Then repeat this process and upload the second letter of recommendation here. This letter of recommendation is different than the first one. It cannot be written by the same person, and it needs to be unique. Lastly, you will upload the youth program signature page. This is the page signed by both you and your parent or guardian. Again, please make sure that all the information here is true and correct and that it is hand signed. Right? And then you will click Submit Form. All right. So once you have submitted this, you will hear from us on November 17th or after with next steps if you are both eligible and have met the application requirements, or if unfortunately you did not, we will let you know either way. It is not necessary to contact us before the 17th of November or after. All right, so please remember to review this information. If you have any questions about the program, we strongly encourage you to look at the frequently asked questions. This includes a lot of detailed information and will be helpful for reviewing the application process. If your question is not answered here, please send an email to ylpayouth@nnic.org. It is not necessary to send it to the adult email as you are a youth applicant. And please remember to include a clear subject. Why are you sending the email? What is your question? And then in the body of the email, state your question in English, as well as your first and last name. Please email ylpayouth@nnic.org. You do not need to email any other email address. You will hear from us within 72 hours. If you do not hear from us within 72 hours or 3 days, then you can send another email. Otherwise, it is not necessary to send multiple emails. Okay, please note that we are not in the office on Saturday or Sunday, and that there is a 9-hour time difference between the US and Algeria. So it may be not an instant response. Okay, that is all the information that I have for you today, and I hope that this is helpful. Thank you so much, and we look forward to reviewing your application.